Wondering what life is really like on Canada's wild and crazy West Coast? This podcast is all about the people, the places, and Vancouver Island time. Together, we'll explore this island paradise, a combination of ocean, city, and country living. We'll meet the fabulous locals such as the Fudge Fairy and the Chicken Lady, who have chosen Victoria and Vancouver Island as their home. And we'll learn what makes this place unique and special to those who live here. And now, your host of Vancouver Island Time, Jane Johnston.
Hi everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. I'm here with Laurel Dietz and we're going to be talking about the Vic West area of Victoria that is just across what was formerly the Blue Bridge, now the White Bridge with blue lights. And we're also going to be talking about her business, which is Alinea Legal Coaching. But first, let's talk about Vic West. When you were describing it in your guest feature, you were saying how much you love living here. What is it that you like about it?
Oh, I think Vic West is Victoria's hidden gem. I think old Victoria has kind of pushed it off to the side. It's kind of the gritty across the bridge, wrong side of the bridge neighborhood. But I think people are opening their eyes now, and it's within walking distance of downtown still, which is amazing. It's got lots of parks. It's got the beautiful Westsong Walkway, the Galloping Goose, the Gorge, so many great places to go and just enjoy yourself, I guess.
One thing that I noticed, you live on a cul-de-sac as well. So it's very, very quiet here too. Yeah,
exactly. So you have that 15 minutes to downtown by foot, but then you have this nice, quiet neighborhood, and you really get to know your neighbors.
Actually, when we went and watched the fireworks on July 1st, we parked at the Save On Foods underground parking, which was a 10-minute walk away. So that's 5 minutes from here. So you're 5 minutes to the grocery store. What's the neighborhood like? Who are the people who live here?
So a lot of young professionals are moving in, but there are a lot of young families. There's an elementary school and a Montessori just down the road. So you do get quite a mixture of different types of people, I think. If you see a few students here and there, not too many, because it's quite a ways, I think, to any of the schools. But yeah, young professionals, people with young families.
So as a young family, what is there to see and do in this neighborhood?
Oh, well, we're dog owners, so we spend a lot of time at the dog park. There's an enclosed dog park just by the Save On Foods. And there's also other hidden dog parks, off-leash dog parks, which are really nice. One thing that we love to do is actually, and this is getting a little ways away from Vic West, but it's quick over to Thetis Lake. So you skip a lot of the downtown traffic, you go the back way, and you get to Thetis within 10-15 minutes. So that's a really great feature.
Along the old Island Highway.
Yeah. So that's really nice. There's also the ENN, there's the Galloping Goose, which everyone knows, and there's the ENN, I don't know, pathway or old railway, and they have so it's a biking path for people to get to where you want to go. What else do we have?
What about restaurants?
Ooh, restaurants. Go on about restaurants. Okay. So there's Full of Pea. It's the bakery, which I love with all my heart. And Cafe Fantastico is attached. It's also so delicious. So that's more of a breakfast, lunch, snacks during the day. And they have, I think they have beer and wine on tap now. So that's really nice. There's one of our other favorites is Green Elephant Thai, which is just across the border in Esquimalt. Very close. Probably the best Thai in Victoria. Then we also have like our local, we have our Big Wheel Burger, our, I think it's La Taquisa here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very good. And then Victoria Sushi is just around the corner. That's where we get our sushi probably once or twice a week. No, once every 2 weeks maybe. Yeah, so we love our sushi. Where else do we go? There's Fry's just around the corner. And on Sunday they do their pizza, which is so delicious.
So one thing I found about Fry's is they make a certain amount of sandwiches, and then when they sell out, that's it.
Oh, so that's, I don't eat sandwiches, so I wouldn't know, but I'm sure like people love fries. They go,
I mean, it's a great place if you want to go to get croissants or pain chocolat or whatever. It's like real French baking, don't you find?
Oh yes, yeah, for sure. And so that's always really one of my favorite places to go as well.
And right across the street from that is Banfield Park.
Yes, very beautiful. Had forgotten about that, but I was there this past Sunday enjoying my pizza from Fry's.
And lots of families hang out there, and then the Y has taken over that rec center, right?
Have they? Actually, that's impressive. I will have to check that out. But what I was just thinking was they have this beautiful community garden in Banfield Park. And you can go and harvest. Right now is a good time to go, and there's lots of berries and figs and all sorts of interesting things that you might not have known that grow in this area.
Do you have to rent a plot?
I haven't seen that, but I mean, it seems that anybody can go in and take what they would like. So it's not ownership.
There's a few community gardens around this area, actually. So there's some just off of Ellery. There's one in behind there as well.
Yep, that's a good one too. So we don't actually have our own garden, but we do plan to put one in. So until then, we'll be using these community gardens.
So if you were talking to somebody who wasn't from Victoria, we talked a bit about why you like living here, but what differentiates Vic West from other areas? Like even Esquimalt, we're on the border of Esquimalt.
Yeah, you can actually tell there's a difference. You just cross that line. I mean, the signposts are different, right? And I think it's maintained in a different way than Esquimalt is. That's just the different municipality. So why do I like Vic? What would I tell them about Vic West? I feel like it's got a younger, fresher feel right now because it's going through a lot of development and revitalization. I think it'd been sort of the forgotten piece of Victoria. Especially
the Railyards, don't you find?
Yes, definitely. And so there's the whole Bayview development that's going in as well. And Dockside Green, all sorts of building and interesting things. There's actually a fun little summer market in Dockside Green along Harbor Road that they put on. I think it's usually Thursdays.
So that's between Dockside Green and the Boatyard?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
And so what about entertainment, nightly stuff? Like, do you go downtown at night? Do you feel safe in this neighborhood?
Oh, yes. Very safe. I don't have any concerns about that. And that just reminded me, how could I forget there's Spinnakers just around the corner. So for nightly entertainment, lovely brew pub, I think is Canada's oldest or BC's first brew pub. So we love it. That's really nice. And then it's a safe walk to go across our beautiful bridge with the nice new lights and the lovely pedestrian walkway. And you just get right to the Drake, which is there for all your beer drinking needs. And Cafe Mexico is just across the bridge as well. So if you want to venture farther afield, you can. It's not too far a walk.
Have you been across Bay Street to the breweries in there and Wheelie's Cafe?
Yes, Wheelie's. You're reminding me of all my favorites. Wheelie's is amazing. It's just this really tucked away, sleepy little
weird bar.
Yeah, weird bar. That's for sure. Very motorcycle themed. And then there's Parachute Ice Cream, and there's Salt Chuck Pie Company is so good for having a lunch or just picking up a frozen pie if you don't feel like baking your own, or they do sweet and savory pies. And of course the breweries, we spend a fair bit of coin there. We take our growlers in and get them filled up.
What about, do you ever go across the trestle or Galloping Goose?
Yeah, there's across the trestle on the Galloping Goose, then you get to Glo is a nice restaurant, and there's also a rowing club, I think, and a Catalyst gym. Yeah. So
which your neighbor works at?
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't know he worked there, but he does spend a lot of time there. That I knew.
Victoria is a very small city, so I drove up and I'm like, I know your neighbor, and I know his son. So tell me a bit about the architecture is different here than it is in Esquimalt. Tell me a bit about the housing in this area.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you see a lot of heritage homes, like really old. I don't even know when they would be, maybe early 1900s. And they've been, I imagine, renovated. Some of them, unfortunately, weren't taken care of, and they've been torn. They're slowly being torn down, the ones that can't be saved. And so now you're getting a lot more duplexes going up. That seems to be the popular new builds. And they're all very modern, very, very cutting edge, and with a lot of interesting landscaping. What else do we get? We get a lot of bungalows. We have across the street, we have our neighbor Ken, and he has Netflix came and did a documentary of the inside of, or what he's built in the backyard is a hockey cave. So episode 4 of Amazing Interiors is Ken's
Really?
cave. Yes, it is jaw-dropping. We first moved in and Ken's like, come on over and see my hockey cave. Don't know about that. And then we go and we see, we're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
How did he even get on it?
He somehow seems to get a lot of publicity for his little hockey cave. It's all I'll say is I'll leave it at that. I'll let you go and watch this episode, but you'll see why. I guess he does promotion on YouTube and stuff once in a while. It's a fun project that he's had with his son. They're both like huge hockey fans. So, and it's been picked up by various outlets, and I imagine they approached him about it.
One thing I notice about this area is it feels like it's old Victoria, and a lot of the homes haven't been updated. Like you're saying, I understand that they're being converted to duplexes. They're doing that because they have the lot size to do it on. But so if you're looking for a character home in this area, you're going to get a large lot. Do you find?
Yes, definitely. And there's often a lot of flexibility, I think, with the zoning. So there was a lot just behind us that was vacant for a long time, just an empty lot, and that's been purchased recently. And I mean, we've heard all sorts of rumors about like a 6-plex going up or an 8-plex. I mean, it would probably be a duplex, I think, maybe 4-plex. It is a larger lot, so
you can check that out actually on the City of Victoria website. Yeah. And actually, if you ever are concerned about the safety of an area, you can Google that as well. And also, if you want to look up trails, you can Google that. There's a, I think it's called Street Maps, which tells you all the trails in the area as well. I'll confirm that. Biking in the area.
Okay, well, there's the Galloping Goose. There's that E&N Railway path. I forget the right name for that. I guess there's no biking on the Westsong Walkway, but that's a nice walking path to the marina. And then there's the Colquitts River Trail, picks up by Tillicum Mall, which isn't far from us. And that's a really nice path and for biking and running and walking.
And what about community events around here? So you have the market on Harbour Road.
Yeah, and so every summer they shut down Harbour Road and they have a big festival, sort of a Vic West party. I'm trying to think. I know that they do other neighborhood parties. I don't know how well they're attended, though. There's the Gorge Swim Fest. That is hugely popular, and that's just off Banfield Park. What else?
What about in Esquimalt?
Oh, in Esquimalt, they have their own farmers market during the week, which I've been to, and that's quite an event, I think, on Thursdays. And then they have, there's a pirate-themed one, isn't there? Friend who really loved it. I have not attended that one yet.
They have it's kind of like a mini CNE or PNE, and so they have what do you call those? All the rides, and then they also have a parade.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Rib Fest.
That's another favorite.
You can tell my life is centered around food. So if you were to move to Victoria again, would you pick Vic West?
Oh, absolutely. I love the location. I love the walkability of everything. I like that it's quiet, but still there's a lot of life here. and I like the vibe. I like the feeling of the young families and younger professionals. It's sort of very optimistic neighborhood, I think.
Cool. So you've had a great introduction to Vic West. If you are looking for more information about this area, you can contact me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. If you want to highlight your area, please let us know. Go to our website, Vancouver Island Time, and click on Be a Guest at the bottom. And if you come back in a few moments, we're going to be talking about Alinea Legal Coaching. And she will coach you through your divorce. If you have any questions about us and you want to see us again, you can visit us on YouTube. We're on TuneIn, iTunes, Spreaker, and some other podcasts. Wherever you want to be found, we'll be there. Okay, so chat with you soon. Bye.
Vancouver Island Time is brought to you by the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, Victoria, where we bring local expertise and global presence to your property.
Hi, everybody. It's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. I'm here with Laurel Dietz, and we're going to be talking about her business, which is
Alinea Legal Coaching.
So she is not a life coach. She is a legal coach. So tell us, that means you're a lawyer, right?
Yes. So I'm a lawyer and I am licensed to give legal advice, and that's what I do. And so Alinea Legal Coaching is actually a family law firm. We call it legal coaching because it's a different way of providing legal services to our clients. Our MO is to provide low cost, low drama divorces and separations to our clients. So you're thinking, well, I'm not a low drama person. Well, if you come to me, I can give you the information and the guidance necessary to make sure that you can start at the beginning and get through to the end with the least amount of drama that is possible in your situation.
So I come from a family of lawyers. My dad and my sister are lawyers. My nephew's a lawyer. He ended up not practicing law. How did you end up in this field?
Oh, that's an interesting trajectory. So I went to law school, never intending to be a lawyer. And it kind of pops you at the other end. And you're like, of course, I'm going to be a lawyer now. I don't know what I was thinking. So I did my articles in criminal defense. And so I did criminal defense for 2 or 3 years in Vancouver. And I came back to Victoria, which is where I went to law school at UVic. And there's not, we live on such a nice island here where there really isn't that much crime, or that it's very minimal. And so it's not as viable an option to be a criminal defense lawyer. I was done with the business at that point at any rate. So I started dipping my toe into the family law arena, and I really liked working with clients and helping them through really difficult times in a positive way. So here we are.
So tell me about the scope of the work that you do. Who's your ideal client?
Okay, so my ideal client is someone who has gone through, so they've separated or they're contemplating separation. They need some information and advice. And they come to me sort of early on in the process before they've taken any major steps, before the matter is escalated. And I can give them the information and help they need and help them, guide them through what steps they need to take and when. And that way we can keep a lid on everything and make sure that everything, as much as possible, stays on track and stays non-escalated.
Do you work with both parties then?
I can't work with both parties. I just work with one half of a couple. Otherwise, there's a bit of a conflict there.
So you don't do mediation?
I'm not a mediator, but I do have mediators that I trust and recommend clients to. And I've worked with a lot of mediators to resolve family law disputes for people. It's a highly recommended way to go.
So being in the real estate industry, I find I have clients who are young and their parents have helped them purchase a place, and they have a boyfriend or whatever, and that person and the boyfriend or girlfriend are moving in together. And I tell them to come up with an agreement before the partner moves in. What do you recommend?
I strongly recommend that. So what you're talking about is a cohabitation agreement between the child and their partner. So I've been in this situation now where we're at the other end where there is no agreement. And the trouble is, there's a few situations between the parent and the child that might occur. It might be an early inheritance for the child, right? Here's a gift. I'm buying this for you so you can live your life now. The other is the parent is putting the person on title to help them manage their own investment. It's not really a gift to the child at that time, but maybe they get to live there rent-free or for cheap rent. The trouble comes if there's no agreement and the relationship between the child and the partner breaks off, and if the house has increased in value, which in this market it has, usually quite rapidly, then that could be quite devastating for finances for the parent or for the child of the parent.
So at what point does the property come at risk in the relationship? Like, I don't mean that in a negative way, but at which point will the partner have a legal ownership of half of the property?
So it's the point at which there's an interest that the spouse would have is when they've lived together for 2 years in a marriage-like relationship, or when they've become legally married, if it happens before that 2-year living together mark. So there might be some fuzzy area about whether or not the agreement, the relationship was marriage-like, but I wouldn't mess around with that, and I would just make sure that it's very clear what the asset is and whose the asset will be at the end of the relationship and what happens with the growth and equity.
Is a tenancy agreement good enough, or do they need a cohabitation agreement?
A tenancy agreement would help. I think a cohabitation agreement is the most clear, straightforward thing, and it addresses the issue on the nose. So there's no beating around the bush. So, I mean, you can take your shortcuts if you want, but that's what we say. Like, as lawyers, we love it when people take shortcuts because that means lots of clients,
lots of business.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's not where we're at with Alinea Legal Coaching. We're trying to save people money, right? We're trying to keep everything as low cost as possible. So we do want people to take those preventative steps, if at a good time in their relationship.
So do you find, at what point do you find people come to you? Do they come with enough time to deal with the issue, or do they come in time, or have they come too late when things have escalated? When's the best time to come to you?
The best time to come to me is close to, I wouldn't say right after separation when the emotions are still running very high. I would say, once you've cooled down a little bit and you're ready to deal with your matter in a straightforward, practical way, because end of a relationship where there are assets, or even where there's debt or pension or other financial ties, there's a lot of steps that need to happen that are very practical, not just emotional. So that's the ideal time. That said, if you haven't resolved your matter, you can come to us at any time. We help clients throughout the whole process. Even if your matter is very, very highly escalated, we've helped people bring the temperature down and move forward. I mean, sometimes it takes patience and it takes, little steps, but it is possible to move your matter forward and make it low drama, low cost.
Do you find... So what about the affairs of children in all of this? That's what I always wonder. You always want to think of the kids first, is my thought. So there's two ways. What my brother did was they actually kept the house, and then he and his ex-wife went in and out of the house, which I thought was an interesting resolution, short-term resolution. But when they sold the house, all the drama came up again. But what do you find is optimal?
So what you're talking about is what we call the nesting arrangement. It is a really difficult thing for most people to do, and I don't recommend it to pretty much anyone unless there's no other option. And the reason for that, I can tell you, is just you need your privacy, especially, and you need your space. So if you're very amicable with your spouse and you're going to be able, and you're in a situation financially where it's sort of your option, then maybe you set up some clear boundaries about how that will work. But that is credit to your brother. That's very difficult to pull off. So Sorry, what was the question?
Well, just what's ideal. I've also seen the situation where two owners have split up and one's gone into the suite. And again, you have both parents on the property, but it hasn't, to me, that doesn't work out well. I think the best thing is just to divide and separate.
And timing, yeah, absolutely. Divide and separate. Everyone needs their space. The kids kind of need to figure out the new arrangement a little bit too, right? I know it's actually very difficult for some families to be able to divide and separate financially because there's not as much money to go around. So sometimes it requires a little bit of planning as far as timing about when that will happen, and perhaps planning about sort of how that will happen and sort of figuring out some shuffling around of the finances to figure out how it can happen. People get very attached to their homes, and so that can be a real difficult hot button point. Is not everyone might be able to keep their home. And so that's something that we will work through with clients and see if they can keep their home. Is it possible? Okay, what does that look like? You need to come up sort of with a long-term budget, or how are you going to make your bills, meet your bills and pay everything each month? Your life will change financially for everybody at the end of a relationship.
Yeah, you almost need to bring in an accountant, right? Or whatever, forensic accountant to go through everything.
No, that's true. And there are, if you have an accountant, that's a good idea. Or financial planners. There are some financial planners who specialize only in divorce and separation. And they can be really useful resources to help you give projections about your long-term financial health if you continue down the path that you're going, and help you with the day-to-day, like, this is how we're going to make ends meet. This is what you need. This is how you need to downsize. Things like that, yeah.
I've seen some people buy a house together because they're friends. Do you deal with situations like that too, where they own? So there's two different types of ownership, right? Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. There's joint tenancy and there's tenants in common. So joint tenancy, I think when I was in law school, is considered it was described to me as being like a blob where both people are in the circle. And if one person dies, then the other person gets to be the owner of the circle. And so that's usually how couples will hold a house, is in joint tenancy, because then you don't have to pay any transfer or any fees on the death of the other party to transfer ownership to the other party. It just can happen. The other is tenants in common, where you each own a specified percentage or interest in the home. And you see that often, I think, more with investments and parents and children buying together. Or
like 1% to the parent, 99% so they can take advantage of the property transfer tax.
And that often is also to help with a mortgage. If you want to qualify for a mortgage, you put your parents on there for a very small percentage. Yeah.
Actually, I get some very unusual situations. So I had one client who couldn't qualify on his own, although he could pay everything. Part of the reason was he was earning money. Like, I just encourage everybody to report your earnings, because when it comes to qualifying for your mortgage, if you can't qualify because you don't have the money on paper, you're going to have to bring somebody else on title, and that person for him actually passed away. And he tried to deal with it, and the family members didn't want to deal with it. So eventually we had to get a death certificate so that he could sell the death certificate of his friend, and it took over 2 years to figure all of that out. To me, like, it's too, really, you have to start with the end in mind. Don't you agree?
I do agree. And so, being transparent and honest about your income is always a good idea, especially if you're going to go through a divorce or separation, because there's a lot of rigmarole that can go around if you're not. And it can get you into some trouble too, I think. I don't want to get into all the things that could happen if you're not accurately reporting your income. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just don't lie, because then you have to remember all your lies. Just always tell the truth.
That's it.
Okay, so how do we get in touch with you?
Okay, well, you can contact me through our website, which is www.legalcoach.ca. You can contact us on Facebook at Alinea Legal Coaching and on Instagram at Alinea Legal Coaching. So Alinea is ALINEA and Legal Coaching is as you would expect. And you can email us at info@legalcoach.ca, or you can call us at 778-977-6551.
So interesting that you put the phone number last.
Nobody calls anymore.
Anyway, okay, so if you want more information, if you want to be prepared both at the beginning and the end of your relationships, you can get in touch with her. And best times to get in touch with you, 9 to 5?
9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I actually, between 9 and 2, my assistant will answer the phone, and she's a little nicer than I am. So try between those hours. If not, I will pick up the phone between 2 and 5, and you can deal with me.
Okay, so if you want any information, you can contact Alinea Legal Coach. And if you want information about the Vic West area, you can contact me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. And welcome to the neighborhood of Vic West. If you want to watch our show, you can see us on VancouverIslandTime.com. We're also on Facebook as Vancouver Island Time, and we're in podcast format at TuneIn, iTunes, Spreaker, and other podcast areas where you might be looking for information. Take care. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We hope you have had some insight into West Coast living. If you know of someone or someplace that should be highlighted in our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Please go to VancouverIslandTime.com and click on our Connect button. See you next week on Vancouver Island Time with Jane Johnston.